Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Dance Teacher Pep Talk. I am your host, Amanda, and I am so glad you are here. This is a space for dance teachers and anyone interested in teaching dance who is looking for motivation and fresh ideas. As teachers, we spend our days motivating and giving pep talks to our students, and now this podcast is a pep talk just for you. We hope that it helps to ignite new ideas and even work through some deep dance related thoughts before you head into the studio. Thank you for your support, and now let's get into today's episode. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Dance Teacher Pep Talk. I'm so glad that you are here. It feels like it's been a really long time since I have sat down to check in with you all, because I know that the last episode that I aired was a guest episode. So that was actually recorded way in advance, and it was just something I launched on our last podcast drop date. And so it really feels wonderful to be back and sitting here and checking in with you all. And I hope that your summer season is off to a beautiful start. If you are new here, I want to welcome you. And I just want to let you know that anything that you see here on the podcast, whether it was recorded 2 years ago, this year, last year, whenever, it is still very relevant. There is timeless content I feel here on the podcast, and I'm so always hoping that these episodes help to provide you with inspiration and guidance in your day and in whatever season of dance teaching that you are in. And if you've been here for this ride, I just want to thank you so much for your support. We are coming up upon our 3rd year anniversary, which is crazy. I launched the Dance Teacher Pep Talk podcast in August of 2023. And it's just so beautiful to see how this has developed and unfolded and just everything that it is. So I just wanted to take a moment before jumping in today to just express my gratitude to you all. And if you haven't listened to the last episode that I launched, episode 111 with Shannon Love, it is such a beautiful episode. I highly recommend, especially because if you do have any downtime this summer, Shannon has just put out a book that is such an easy read. It is so just digestible. There is so much incredible information in it. And honestly, having read it, I feel like a lot of how and what I teach is going to shift and change majorly in this upcoming season. So I almost look at that book as like continuing education for myself, as ideas and practices that I think are so beneficial to the whole dancer. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I highly recommend it. She also gave exercises that we can take within our class. Like I pitched a scenario and then she gave an exercise for us to do in those instances. And so I think it's a very relatable content type of episode, and I do recommend you checking that out. So today, what is today's episode about? I just really wanted to do a from the heart chat with you all to kind of give you a pep talk for this season, because I know that throughout my time here with Dance Teacher Pep Talk, I've given some pep talks. I have. That was the whole point of this podcast. But summer is a different season, and I felt like I wanted to give you a very summer specific pep talk to help you wherever you are. And this could be one that you listen to now, you listen to in August, however it works for you. And so many of us, this might be a season where we aren't teaching as much. And for some of us, we might be teaching more than ever, because maybe we really fill our schedules with guest teaching opportunities. Maybe we're traveling. Maybe we're going studio to studio. Maybe we're setting choreography on multiple competition teams. And so it really depends. Like, we are all in different pathways on this journey. And so today's episode is to meet you where you are. Anytime you need like a pick-me-up or a reminder or some encouragement as you head on your way. So like if you're heading to a studio, this could be an episode you just pop on to remind yourself of who you are. So before we even get into anything, I think we just need to take a deep breath. So let's take a nice deep inhale, really filling up the expanse of your lungs. And as you exhale, just feel yourself release any tension or tightness that you may be holding on to. And let's do that one more time because it does feel so good. A nice deep inhale.
and a long, slow exhale. So I think the first thing I want us to feel right now is to check in with our emotion. Check in with how we're feeling. So are you feeling like on a high end of emotion? Or would you consider what you're feeling right now a lower end of emotion? Maybe you are on your way to teach right now. Maybe you are coming home from teaching. Maybe you're planning what is to come in your teaching. And maybe you're just taking a break and you need a reminder of just how important it is to take this break as well. So in this, with the feeling that we have, I want you to remind yourself right now of how you feel proud of yourself as a dance teacher. And especially if you're in a low place, this is really important to do right now because it helps to remind you of how far you really have come. And sometimes we don't really realize that until we take the time to reflect on it. And I do have a recent reflection episode that I think you should definitely check out if you're feeling like you need some more reminders. But if anything, wherever you are heading out to right now, I just want to remind you of how incredible it is that you followed a dream. You followed your dream. You are following something that is so deeply felt in your heart. You are reaching others with the love, joy, and creativity that you hold with dance. That is beautiful. Truly, when you really think about it, like how many people out there are just going to jobs and not having the passion attached to it that we have? Like how lucky are we that we get to do this? And I just think that sometimes when we get into the busyness and we get bogged down with like the work and the admin and the planning and the this and that, sometimes we forget about why we started this in the first place. Because we didn't start it because it was going to be easy, right? We started this because it meant something to us. And so whether you are preparing to go out teaching for your own studio right now or choreographing for your own students, or if you're guest choreographing or teaching, I just want to share a couple thoughts with you to help you prepare. So in the sense of the guest scenario, I just want to say that if you are feeling nerves or any type of uncertainty going into this new situation of guest teaching, that is completely normal. If you are going into it feeling questions of your abilities, questions of your worthiness, that is completely understandable. But what I want to remind you in this moment is that you have this position because you are worthy. You have this position because you are capable. So as much as imposter syndrome wants to knock on your door and get right into your headspace, I want you to, with every exhale breath, as you're driving or walking or wherever you are, I want you to imagine that bit of imposter syndrome starting to leave. Because the one reminder that I love that helps me so much when I get into states of imposter syndrome is there is no other me than me. There is no other you than you. And that is what is so incredibly beautiful about this dance teaching community, because no one of us could teach the other's class. We could like sub it and follow the plans, but we are never that other teacher. We are always our own teacher. And that is so uniquely beautiful. And what we're bringing into the space, no one else can bring because no one else can be you. So feel your worthiness, feel what it is that you're bringing, and be confident in that. Because I can almost guarantee too, the students that are going to be in that classroom, they're also feeling a little bit of nervousness and uncertainty. Maybe these students have never had you before. Maybe they only see you on like a year-to-year basis. But whatever it is, know that there is something really special that's about to happen because you are getting to share your gifts with other dancers who don't get to normally have you. And you are going to receive gifts from dancers that you don't normally get to work with, because this is going to be an inspiration exchange by what you bring to the classroom and what they bring back to you. There is something that is going to push you beyond where you are currently in this moment, having had the experience that you're about to have. the one thing that holds me strong when I'm going into guest teach or guest choreograph is go in with a plan, because this is the thing. You know what you are capable of, and you know the work that you bring. So if you're going in with your set plan, you don't have to second guess anything that you're doing. You know, like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do my warm up. I'm going to do this particular center exercise. I'm going to do this particular skill or whatnot, and I'm going to teach this choreography. And I do recommend, even if you're an on-the-spot choreographer, for guest teaching experiences especially, to make sure you have a combination planned. And you can keep it like loose in the sense that if you want to edit on the spot or add on the spot, that's fine. But go in with something, because there are so many different variables that can play, into the situation while you're there. But if you have a plan, like, you can always hold on to that. You can always find ways to deviate from the plan as well, based on the energies of the class and based on, the needs of the students. If you're finding that this isn't clicking, you can make on-the-spot changes, but the plan is there just as your backbone. Truly, I think. For me, I think that's really important because it holds me, but I do not stay rigid to a plan. Because for me, if I'm in a room and I can see that the dancers are needing more or something different than what it is I'm giving, I don't feel like, ooh, I got to hold firm to the plan because this is what my note said. I can make choices on the spot because I have been doing this for a while, so I know that. But if you're newer to teaching, it is helpful to have that plan. However, I also have realized in time that not every teacher picks up on energy in the way that other teachers do. We all have different skills. We all have different gifts when it comes to our teaching. And so it shouldn't be something that we anticipate is going to happen, like by being in the classroom and being like, oh, I'll just sense the energy and see what happens. Because you, especially with students you don't know in a guest teaching experience, you might not have that exchange of feedback, because like I said, they might be nervous. They might be shut off in a way to their normal selves. And with that sometimes becomes like a shell over the energy, and that can be tricky. So anytime I'm guest teaching or choreographing, I do go in with a plan, but I know that I can make changes as I feel the rhythm of the class at hand. Now, if you're going in to teach or choreograph for your own students, I really think, when you're going into summer, it is such a beautiful block of time. It's a small block of time, depending on how you lay out your summer schedule. But when you're with them, really think about, what do you set out for them, for you in this year ahead? So what is going to support them in this summer to prepare them for dancing in the fall and dancing during the school year? Because that is really the bulk of their work in most studio models is, the September to June. That's the bulk of the material. So what can we do in summer that is going to support them? And I don't always feel that we need to always stick to the norm. Sometimes we can go off and sort of invite other ideas in during the summer that can supplement and support what it is that they're going to be doing as their core foundational work. Because I think too, that helps to motivate them further. It brings new ideas into the mix, and it helps them to try out different things and build on their versatility. Another thing to take into consideration with all of this too is, how much are your students dancing this summer? Now, for some, maybe it's just a week of intensive. Maybe they have 2 weeks of work. Maybe you have drop-in classes. What is it? What is the schedule like for them? Because I think that's also going to depend on how much do you have room to play with different ideas and things like that. But for me, honestly, in summer, I go with simplicity, because you can take so much, get to, the root of the matter, get to the foundation, work on the building blocks, and grow from there. And the reason why I do this is a couple of reasons. Number one, if your students only have like I said, the 1 week of intensive or the 2 weeks or a couple classes scattered, when you think about it, they are not in the same condition that they were in through the full year schedule. So if they had recital and they had multiple weeks off and now they're jumping into summer classes with you this July, they are not going to be ready to take on the content that you were giving in May. So with simplicity, we can build and we can still focus on the strength. We can focus on the advancement, but that doesn't mean we have to go all out with like elaborate movement. You can add that in as things go on. But for me, in my years of teaching, the intensive model that I haven't really been able to vibe with is this idea that let's just cram as much as we can into a week. Let's cram as much content. Let's cram as much skill building. Because when you think about that, the bodies are not ready for that. The brains are not ready for that. And I think absolutely it is 100% important to continue the training. Absolutely. But we also have to think about where and how long has this body been at rest, and how can we safely bring them back into practice and get them up. Because I know there have been years where I've taught intensive and it's like, we go in on Monday and like, here we go, like we're strong. And then by Wednesday, the dancers can hardly walk because they have been pushing their bodies in ways that they haven't done for months. They're just not ready. They're not seasoned for it in that way. And of course, there's going to be dancers too that like have been dancing consistently. So for them, sure, like working on that advancement. But I think that we just have to be aware of where everyone is at and how long their body has been at rest. So that is why simplicity works really well for me. It also helps in my planning because I don't get overwhelmed with how much I need to do. If I start off, say, with like, okay, I'm going to work with this combination in my summer program class, and then build backwards from there. Maybe I'll see that like in the choreography, this particular skill or concept is showing up a lot. That's going to be something then that I like pull into center work before we even get to it. And then I'm going to make sure that the warm up also fully prepares the body for what it is that I'm expecting of it at the end. So just kind of like taking a look at that and just trying not to overwhelm yourself. The goal isn't to push our students to this incredible level of challenge because we want them to feel successful as well in what they're doing. So an element of challenge, yes. But if it's overwhelming, that doesn't feel very successful, right? So if it's overwhelming you, it's probably going to overwhelm your students. So start with simplicity and grow from there because you can take off from that. You absolutely can. But that's my best advice for heading in with your own students this summer. So with this too, I think it's so important this time of year is we're asking our students to, practice. We're asking our students to stay motivated, stay inspired, keep up with it, keep active, all those things. But what are you doing for yourself in this season to enhance your inspiration and to give back to yourself in this time of rest? Because summer is a time of rest, like we may have pockets of the work, but there is an element where we are asking ourselves to rest, not just physically, but mentally as well. And in these pockets of time, I think it's important that we do things that are not dance related. So if we're thinking, oh, what can I do to enhance my inspiration? If your first thought was like take class or, do a course or continuing ed, yes, those things are very good and very beneficial. However, I think it's important also to do things that are not dance related because some of my biggest moments of inspiration, some of my biggest like aha moments, I guess if you call it, as a teacher have been when I have done things that are not dance related in any way. Taking class, yes, is so beautiful. And it'll also help to remind you of that spark that you felt within. And also that reason too of why you wanted to become a dance teacher in the first place. Books, audiobooks, books you can hold in your hands to read can help to take you to places, whether they're fiction books, nonfiction books, books about dance, whatever. But they can take you to places in your mind that are going to help to build on that as well. There are so many online courses. I know I've talked about this before on the Dance Teacher Pep Talk podcast, but really even too, just finding moments of silence. This is a time where we shouldn't be bombarding our minds with songs and song searching and scrolling because that is a huge part of this season for us, I'm sure. But we want to find the times where we quiet the mind too, because when it rests, it will create more time and space for us to then allow that inspiration to come in when it's ready. The other thing too is, when we're scrolling, don't allow this to be a season of comparing your work to others, because maybe in our downtime we are on our phones more and we're scrolling through and things are coming up and maybe you're like, wow, that piece, look at this piece, look at this dancer, look at this, look at everything. And just, like I said, with the whole imposter syndrome, like the best advice I can give in an instant like that, if you're facing that comparison, is you are the only you there is. And, just be so proud of what you are and what you bring. And really in the season, give yourself this time that you so deeply deserve. And know that everything and anything that you offer will always be uniquely yours. And so if there's any way that I can help to alleviate the pressure, it is by saying that, because that has been one of the biggest changes and shifts in myself as a dance teacher, because I was comparing myself a lot and I also was questioning myself a lot. But the thing is about that is when you do things like that, it also does show that care level. Like you care so much that you want things to be so good, and I think there is a beautiful side to that, but don't let it be something that weighs you down. Know your worth, know what you're capable of, because no one else can give the class that you give. I hope today's little summer season pep talk is helpful for you and wherever it is you're teaching or wherever it is you're resting in this time of year. I am so looking forward to checking back in with you on our next episode in a couple of weeks. And I'm hoping to have some reflections from summer dance for you all. I actually am unsure of what my topic is going to be in the next episode. And usually I plan far in advance. So I'm really curious myself, what am I going to be talking about? So you're going to want to make sure to tune into that. So if you're not following Dance Teacher Pep Talk on the podcast platform of your choice, make sure to do that, because it will notify you when new episodes are available. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Dance Teacher Pep Talk. And I wanted to take a moment too to plug my other podcast and platform, because there is a lot that is going to be coming on over there. I am really shifting a lot of my attention into Evolve Love, which is my other podcast. So much of my heart and so much of my spirit is there. And so much of the way that I teach actually stems from this. Like, even though it's not a dance specific podcast, it is like the pillars and foundation of who I am as a guide, as a teacher, as a coach. And this is what I'm bringing into the Evolve Love space. So if you're looking for daily motivation, daily pep talks, they're not completely dance related, but they're just inspirational. And I offer them Monday through Friday on Evolve Love. And I also have big news that's going to be coming up over there as well, because I'm going to be starting a newsletter with free resources. If you've been missing my meditations, I'm going to be actually offering free monthly meditations with Evolve Love. Again, not related to dance, but just ones that will really support you in a season. I am also going to be offering some even more online content with Evolve Love. So make sure you check it out if you're interested. But that Instagram is at _Evolve Love. And the podcast is Evolve Love. So I want to thank you all so much for being here today and for taking the time to share with me in this summer pep talk. And I really hope your season is turning out to be a beautiful one. And I'm sending you all my best thoughts in the season. And I can't wait to check back in with you real soon.